Shalom. All praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elder apostles, the bishops, and the elders of GMS who rule well. Peace and salutations to the elect. My name is Aina. The title of this video is um, Iran says country is facing a full-scale confrontation. And ultimately, I seen videos saying Iran declares all-out war with, Israel, and U.S. and Europe and all that. So I was trying to make sure he actually said what he said, but what he says is right here in this article. It says Iran says it is in full-scale war with U.S., Israel, and Europe. It's posted December 27, 2025. Today is December 29th. December 29th, 2025. All right. It says Iran's president said on Saturday the country is facing a full-scale confrontation with the United States, Israel, and Europe, describing the pressure campaign against Tehran as more complex and damaging than the Iran-Iraq war. Quote, in my view, we are in an all-out war with the United States, Israel, and Europe. They do not want our country to stand on its own feet, Mossad said in an interview with the Supreme Leader's official website. He said the current war is worse than the Iraq war in the 1980s. If one understands it properly, this war is far more complex and more difficult than that war. It says in the war with Iraq, the situation was clear. They fired missiles and it was clear where we would strike back. But here they are now besieging us in every respect, putting us under pressure and in tight corners, creating problems economically, right? Economically, culturally, politically, and in terms of security. And ultimately, we notice that this is happening because we understand that the Greater Israel, project that Benjamin Netanyahu wants to accomplish, right? And he's having a problem with people on his borders. He wants his borders safe, and one of his problems is Iran, right? And we know that the small hats control America. Benjamin Netanyahu controls Donald Trump, and Iran has been, put on sanctions and different things, and you can't buy from them, wherever the case may be, and it's causing them problems, right? And that's why he's saying that we're in an all-out war with these individuals, even though America didn't say, "Hey, we're at war with Iran," but America did bomb Iran, right? But that's because the least of the flock is drawing them out. All right, let me go down here. Did you see Israel has told the United States that the recent Iranian missile drills may conceal preparation for a potential strike? Okay. Yeah, so basically Iran is feeling the pressure of America and Israel, and Israel trying to accomplish its agenda, which would be that Greater Israel project, and Iran is a problem for them, and that's why you go over here to Jeremiah 50, which I'm gonna get, where it says the least of the flock is drawing them out, and you just had recent visit from Benjamin Netanyahu, as you can see, it's all over here, where he met with Trump to discuss, basically plans to, of what they're saying is a help to attack Iran again, basically, which they didn't outright say that, but we're not ignorant of Satan's devices. We understand what he's trying to accomplish. So here's a little bit of this video here. It says why Netanyahu is pressuring Trump to approve new Iran military action.
Netanyahu, whose political career has been defined in no small part by his warnings about Iran, brought those warnings once again to the forefront this winter. In the days before a pivotal meeting at Mar-a-Lago, Netanyahu traveled to Florida carrying more than the usual diplomatic brief. He brought urgent intelligence assessments detailing what Israeli officials describe as a rapid expansion of Iran's ballistic missile production and the possible reconstitution of nuclear enrichment facilities damaged earlier in the year. These developments deeply concern.
Right. And we understand and know that America struck Iran's nuclear facilities because the same thing that Netanyahu was saying now is what he was saying before, that this is causing a problem, right? And we want you to do something about it. So now, like I just said, Trump is or Netanyahu came back with the same type of statement, right? So we're living the same scenario, right? And once again, the least of flock, right? 1948ers are dragging America into this war. But it's so much happening with the situation regarding Russia, Ukraine, right? China, Taiwan, America, Venezuela, and the different uh, agreements, that have been formed. Different treaties that have been made. We see now Trump is a kind of going against Venezuela, and basically Russia and China there saying don't do that. And that goes into Joel 3 where it says the weak saying that they are strong. And that's what I mean, where there's a lot happening. How long can it continue before Ezekiel 38 happens, where the Persians are joined with the Medes, right? The Persians being Iran and the Medes being Russia, and they're joined together and ultimately come against, right, Israel and America. And we're in that time now where the MOTB is being talked about, Jacob's trouble is here, and everything is intensifying. And the year 2026 is looking to be a hot one, right? You just had China do a military drill around Taiwan, basically surrounding it completely, you know? So it's a lot happening. But anyway, this is Joel 3:9. It says, proclaim ye this among Gentiles, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. It says, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears, let the weak say, I am strong. So we've seen small flashes of that regarding these different nations that America usually could just bully, and these nations are standing up to them, right? And the different alliances are being called out, saying, hey, this is my friend, don't touch him. And Iran is about to be on that list with Russia, so we'll see what happens. But here is basically Netanyahu went over here to talk to Trump, and this is what Trump had to say about Iran's missile program.
Give him a second chance. Well, we'll give him a couple of second chances, but no, Israel's lived up to the plan 100%. Don't forget, we made the plan possible by taking out Iran. And speaking of Iran, I hope they're not trying to build up again, because if they are, we're going to have no choice but very quickly to eradicate that buildup. So I hope Iran is not trying to build up, as I've been reading that they're building up weapons and other things. And if they are, they're not using the sites that we obliterated, but they're using possibly different sites. We know exactly where they're going, what they're doing. And I hope they're not doing it, because we don't want to waste the fuel on a B-2. It's a 37-hour trip both ways. I don't want to waste a lot of fuel. Okay?
I mean, pretty much, I guess that's all he said about Iran on there, pretty much. But ultimately, he said, if you are building up again, then, we don't want to waste a trip with our B-2 bombers again, because there's a lot of fuel, and I'll be upset about it. That's basically what he said. And we know, pursuant to scriptures, that regardless of what, Iran is going to be joined with Russia, to attack Israel. All right. So just them mentioning this thing, just to least the flock, which is Israel, going over to America and talking about it, is Bible prophecy, right? This is Ezekiel 38, right? It goes into Gog in the future invasion of Israel, right? Gog being Russia. It says Ezekiel 38:2, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, so Russia from the land of Russia, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, thus saith the Lord Yahweh Bashmi Awashai, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws. So some of you might be asking, like, dang, Russia seems like they're on a warpath, or they're building up, or they're doing something. Yeah, the Most High Yahweh Bashmi Awashai is stirring up the scriptures say he mustered the host of the battle, right? And his word doesn't go out void. So he's turning Russia back, right? That's why Russia is doing the things they're doing. It says, I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth in all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. It says Gomer and all his bands, the house of Tocomar, the north quarters and all his bands, and many people with them. So we see that many people be joined with Russia when Russia goes against the future invasion of Israel. And we understand that Persia, right, which is modern day Iran, will be joined with the Medes, which is Russia. So this could be something that causes that event to happen. And then you also have, and when I say that event, as in Russia attacking, Israel in America. Then you have Jeremiah 50 and 45. It says, therefore, hear the counsel of the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua that he have taken against Babylon, and his purposes that he had proposed against the land of the Chaldeans. It says, surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. The least of the flock is talking about the 1948ers, right? The Israelis, and they're back in America, basically dragging America to go help them with Iran again, right? We're not ignorant of Satan's devices. We understand and know that this is what they're doing because they did it before, right? And Trump said they obliterated the sites of what was giving Israel a problem, but now they're building back those sites, right? And that's what they're talking about. And I gave you this video here where it says that they see that Iran is back to, basically doing the same thing again. I'll play it back a little bit.
Pivotal meeting at Mar-a-Lago, Netanyahu traveled to Florida carrying more than the usual diplomatic brief. He brought urgent intelligence assessments detailing what Israeli officials describe as a rapid expansion of Iran's ballistic missile production and the possible reconstitution of nuclear enrichment facilities damaged earlier in the year. These developments deeply concern his national security team, who fear that without decisive action, Tehran's military capabilities could soon pose an even greater challenge. It was in this context that an analyst speaking broadly about the motivations behind Netanyahu's approach to Trump offered a stark observation. He said Netanyahu will try and push Trump to greenlight new strikes on Iran. The emphasis on green light captures a core dynamic in this alliance. Israel is not just seeking support, it is seeking approval for potential military action that could again reshape the region. Behind this push lies the memory of the dramatic sequence of events from earlier in the year. In June, joint US-Israeli air operations targeted key Iranian nuclear facilities. The strikes marked a significant escalation and, in the eyes of many, a new phase in the confrontation between Tehran and Western powers. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian responded by declaring that his country was engaged in a full-scale war with the United States, Israel and Europe, language that underscored how deeply Tehran perceives itself to be under siege from multiple fronts. The official Israeli narrative frames these developments as defensive and preventative. From Tel Aviv's perspective, dismantling or degrading Iran's ability to develop nuclear weapons and long-range ballistic missiles is not optional. It is a matter of national survival. Netanyahu has repeatedly underscored that Iran's military ambitions, including its missile program, must not be left unchecked. In private briefings and diplomatic discussions ahead of high-level meetings, Israeli leaders have signaled that they are ready to act again if Iranian developments cross a threshold they deem unacceptable. Yet the US approach under Trump has been marked by a degree of caution and strategic calculation. While Trump authorized the earlier June strikes and has maintained a largely pro-Israeli posture, his administration also faces domestic political constraints and broader forces described as a rapid.
All right, so as you can see, they're saying if Iran is building back up, then we need to strike them again. But what I want to check out real quick is because I believe this said something or skipped something it was supposed to say. So I'm going to play this back real quick. Okay, I just seen it there. Okay, so no. Or maybe I just misheard earlier. But anyway, like I was saying, they said if Iran is building back up, then they're going to have to go ahead and do a new strike. So, right, once again, just blowing the horn on this, because this is Bible prophecy and this could lead to, the third war, all right, ultimately. If, Russia decides to step in and help, Iran, basically the third war can grow bigger, which is World War III, because we're already in World War III. right? It's just hush hush. But if America gets dragged over there and Russia steps in, then everyone will know. Well, yeah, okay, it's like World War III because you have these different players that will join with Russia, right, to come against America. So this is Jeremiah 50:29. It says, "Call together the archers against Babylon, all ye that bend the bow, camp against it round about. Let none therefore escape. Recompense her according to her work, according to all that she hath done, do unto her, for she hath been proud against the Lord Yahweh Bashmael and against the Holy One of Israel." Right, the scriptures say, upon whom have not, uh, upon whom have not thy wrath. Let me see. All right, so this is Isaiah 14:6. Isaiah 14:6 says, start at 5. The Lord Yahweh Bashmael has broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted and none hindereth. All right. And basically, Esau, Edom, weakened the nations. He took, resources and things like that. And that was even what Iran was talking about, where it says, we feel like we're in an all-out war and besieging us in every respect. And it goes into, economically, right, culturally, politically. So like basically in all terms, in all aspects, basically America and Israel is like sucking them dry pretty much. Right. So that's that continual stroke that they put on, Iran for just one. So as we say, do unto her. I'll read it again. It says, Jeremiah 50:29, call together the archers against Babylon, all ye that bend the bow, camp against it round about, let none thereof escape. Recompense her according to her work, according to all that she have done, do unto her. For she have been proud against the Lord Yahweh against the Holy One of Israel. Therefore shall her young men fall in the streets, and all her men of war shall be cut off in that day, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashmael. Behold, I am against thee, O thou most proud, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashmael of hosts. For thy day is come, the time that I will visit thee. And the most proud shall be stubble and fall, and none shall raise him up. And I will kindle a fire in his cities, and it shall devour all round about him. Right. So once again, we know and understand that America will be destroyed by nuclear weapons from Russia. You get that in Joel, the 2nd chapter. All right, Malachi 4, verse 1. We got Isaiah 13, Isaiah 14. It says, thus said the Lord Yahweh Bashmael of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captives held them fast. They refused to let them go. Their Redeemer is strong. The Lord Yahweh Bashmael of hosts is his name. He shall thoroughly plead their cause, that he may give rest to the land and disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon. Right, and we understand and know that he's going to plead it, with fire. Right, Isaiah 66:16, it says, for by fire and by his sword shall will the Lord Yahweh Bashmael shall plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many. Matter of fact, I wanted to grab 15. It says Isaiah 66:15. For behold, the Lord Yahweh Bashmael will come with fire and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flame of fire. For by fire and by his sword will the Lord Yahweh Bashmael shall plead with all flesh, and the slain of the Lord shall be many. All right, and that's how he's gonna plead our cause, right, when he returns. Right, and ultimately he's starting with mustering the hosts of battle. He's stirring up the nations, right, and basically ultimately to have them come against America and Israel. Right, it says Jeremiah 50:35, a sword is upon the Chaldeans, saith the Lord Yahweh, Bashem Yahushua, and upon the inhabitants of Babylon, and upon her princes, and upon her wise men. A sword is upon the liars, and they shall dote. A sword is upon her mighty men, and they shall be dismayed. A sword is upon their horses, and upon their chariots, and upon all the mingled people that are in the midst of her. And they shall become as women. A sword is upon her treasures, and they shall be robbed. A drought is upon her waters, and they shall be dried up. For it is the land of graven images, and they are mad upon their idols, right? Graven images, idols, just these different things that they worship, all right? So the scriptures call it the mother of harlots and abominations, right? It says, therefore, the wild beasts of the desert, or the wild beasts of the islands shall dwell there, and the owls shall dwell therein, and it shall be no more inhabited forever, now shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. So that's what's going to happen after, the destruction. Wild animals, wild desert creatures will dwell here. It says, as Yahweh overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighboring cities thereof, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, so shall no man abide there, neither shall any son of man dwell therein. Behold, a people shall come from the north, and a great nation, and many kings shall be raised up from the coast of the earth. And once again, this is going into Ezekiel 38, right, from the north, right? The north is talking about Russia. It says, they shall hold the bow and the lance. They are cruel and will not show mercy. Their voice shall roar like the sea, and they shall ride upon horses, everyone put in array like a man to the battle against thee, O daughter of Babylon. And ultimately, it's talking about the nuclear missiles that will be shot, all right? But it's going to come from Russia, and Russia, the allies that's joined unto Russia. And once again, going into Iran is going to be an ally of Russia. All right, so we'll see what happens with this next attack, whenever they do it, because we see that, like I said earlier, America's, stirring up trouble with Venezuela, and Russia and China are already over there, right? America has already took one ship and seized it, and this ship was heading for China with oil. So that was China's oil, right? And China's not happy about that. And then you also have Russia. Russia has put, missile systems there and different things to back Venezuela. And they're not happy with what, America is doing in that area. And they're talking about it all over there, TASS and all of that. China is upset too. Read this again, Jeremiah 15:42. It says, they shall hold the bow and the lance. They are cruel and will not show mercy. Their voice shall roar like the sea, and they shall ride upon horses. Everyone put in array like a man to the battle against thee, O daughter of Babylon. The king of Babylon have heard the report of them, and his hands wax feeble. Anguish took hold of him, and pangs as of a woman in travail. Right, and ultimately we see what happened with this Ukraine situation, where pretty much, for whatever reason, Trump is saying, it's done. His hands pretty much is tied. He's leaning more with Russia, because Russia is beating Ukraine's ass, right? And ultimately, Trump don't want that. He don't want no parts of that. He don't want no parts of Russia. So he's like, it's up to Ukraine. I mean, NATO, EU. So much so that with this new, national strategic plan that they got, they're telling NATO and EU to handle their own defense. Where he's trying to cut ties with NATO, pretty much. So, behold, he shall come up like a lion from the swelling of Jordan unto the habitation of the strong. And ultimately, this is talking about Yahushua, right? Ultimately, Yahushua is gonna, come in at the end and destroy, the Russian troops and all the other troops. That's why you have Isaiah 34. And ultimately, he's gonna, destroy America, because the weapons of war belong to Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, right? What is it? Jeremiah 54:16, right? The Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahushua created the smith that blows the coals in the fire, right? You can grab it. Because what's going to finish America is the missiles. What is it? Isaiah 54, slide it. Isaiah 54:16, behold, I have created the smith that blows the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work. And I have created the waster to destroy. All right. So we know that these missiles that are created, the Most High allowed them to create these missiles, and that's what's going to destroy America, right? And we understand and know that at the same time, pursuant to like Second Esdras 13, that Yahweh Shai is going to return in the midst of World War III and destroy the armies of everyone gathered together in that Levant region, right? That's fighting. Jeremiah 50 and 44. And you also have, where is it at? I got a precept. I'll get it. It says Jeremiah 50 and 44, behold, he shall come up like a lion from the swelling of Jordan unto the habitation of the strong, but I will make them suddenly run away from her. And who is a chosen man that I may appoint over her? For who is like me, and who will appoint me the time? And who is that shepherd that will stand before me? So ultimately I said this Yahweh Shai, but we know that he's going to send, Russia and Russia's army, against Babylon. Right, you have this one right here. Isaiah 46:11. It says, calling a ravenous bird from the east, the man that executes my counsel from a far country. Yeah, I have spoken it. I will also bring to pass. I have proposed it, and I will also do it. And ultimately, the person that's gonna, come and destroy, America and Israel is Russia and Russia's allies, but Russia's going to send nuclear missiles to America, right? And we understand that the Most High Yahweh Shai created those missiles, and at the same time, Yahweh Shai is coming, right, to destroy also America, right, and the armies of Russia and all of that, okay? But it says, calling a ravenous bird, Isaiah 46:11, calling a ravenous bird from the east, the man that executed my counsel from a far country, yeah, I have spoken it. I will also bring to pass. I have proposed it. I will also do it. Okay. So reading this again, Jeremiah 15:44, behold, he shall come up like a lion from the swelling of Jordan unto the habitation of the strong, but I will make them suddenly run away from her. And who is a chosen man that I may appoint over her? For who is like me, and who will appoint me the time, and who is that shepherd that will stand before me? Therefore, hear ye the counsel of the Lord Yahweh Bashim Shai, they have taken against Babylon in the purposes that he had proposed against the land of the Chaldeans. It says, surely the least of the flock shall draw them out. Surely he shall make their habitation desolate with them. At the noise of the taking of Babylon, the earth is moved, and the cry is heard among the nations. Right? So, ultimately, the least of the flock is going to draw out America to this war. Right? And ultimately, that's going to lead to, the least of the flock in America being destroyed by what? Nuclear missiles. Right? So, just blowing the horn on that, blowing the trumpet on that we had these individuals meeting up here in America, right, to talk about what comes next regarding Iran, right? So shalom to the select, which consists of men, women, and children, shalom.